Hello and welcome to Cold War Barbecue. If you're like me, you probably grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons. Yes, kids, back then they didn't have 24-hour cartoon channels. Unfortunately, eventually the cartoons would come to an end and you'd be stuck with infomercials. One in particular that I remember from every Saturday morning features a catchphrase that is forever etched into my brain. Set it and forget it. It's nice. It rhymes. With barbecue, you kind of have two different extremes. On the one end, you have your offset cookers that deliver a fantastic finished result, but require constant supervision, fire management, watching the temperature, and obviously keeping an eye on the meat. On the other, you have what many would derisively refer to as the easy bake oven method, pellet smokers. I actually used to use one, but I always found the end results were somewhat lackluster. Still at the beginning of my journey along the path of smoking, I wanted a smoker that could blend the awesome smoky goodness of an offset with the ease of management of a pellet smoker. And that's when I stumbled on this. The Old Country gravity-fed cabinet smoker. Unlike most of the Old Country line, Brazos, Pecos, they didn't seem to want to come up with an interesting name for this one. I think that's probably because it's so different from the rest of their line.
To those who don't know, Old Country is a mid-tier brand of smokers. It's quite a ways above the entry-level backyard smokers and a bit above something like an Oklahoma Joe's smoker. They're mostly sold at Academy or Buc-ee's around here, but I've seen them at a few other places. Their most popular smoker is the Brazos Offset, which we'll cover in another video, but they've got quite a range of various models.
This one isn't like any of those. Just looking at it, you wouldn't immediately think it was a smoker at all. It doesn't have the offset firebox associated with a traditional smoker. It doesn't have the fancy digital controls like a pellet smoker. It actually kind of looks like an old refrigerator. So how does it work?
The cooking area is here on the left. On the right, the firebox is gravity-fed using charcoal at the top that drops cinders onto wood chunks at the bottom. Airflow is controlled via an intake on the side. Smoke enters from the bottom through a baffle and then gradually rises to the top.
There are a few other smokers on the market that use a similarly designed system, but a bunch of them still rely upon electronic controls and are needlessly complicated. You won't find any of that here. Basically, you get a chimney of charcoal lit, put it in the hopper, top it off with more charcoal, and then place your wood chunks at the bottom. And that's it. Well, that's not entirely it. There are some caveats. Takes a while to get it to temp. Takes a while to get used to where you should set the damper to keep your desired temperature. You generally have to run it with the door open to get it up to temperature in the first place. And you can't really run at temperatures higher than 300 degrees. Reliably, anyway. If you're thinking this doesn't sound very set it and forget it, I can understand. But you'd be wrong. Very wrong. You see, once you get the temperature where you want it, this smoker is extraordinarily great at holding that temperature indefinitely. How, you may ask? It's entirely insulated. You can see how thick the door is, and the entire cabinet is similarly thick. That means whether it's a 100-degree summer day or a 20-degree winter day, that's in freedom units, the performance is the same. But it also means that wind, which is the arch enemy of smokers everywhere, is mostly inconsequential. The only air inlet is a small pipe. Unless the wind's blowing directly into it, and that has happened to me, the hardest part about maintaining the fire is adding charcoal and wood every so often. You can control the amount of smoke based on the amount of wood you add, keeping in mind that more wood generally means more fire and so higher temperatures. That aside, adding more wood every so often will only cause the temps to spike momentarily, which can easily be managed by opening the door to take a peek at what's inside. Having that door open will obviously lower temps, but it doesn't take long at all for the temperature to go back to precisely where you had it before. So now obviously the most important question is this: how well does it cook? To answer that, we're going to cook some pork ribs and assess the difficulty of the cook and the quality of the finished product. All right, our fire's about ready. So we're going to get to prepping the ribs. We're using standard St. Louis style ribs here. I'm doing one rub that produces a awesome earthy, smoky barbecue flavor, and then another one that's a sweet rub. On that note, when did we all collectively decide that sweet ribs were bad? Like every rib you make now has to be a science project of umami and savory and spicy, but never ever sweet. I don't understand that. Sweet ribs are awesome. I say do them both and let God sort it out. I don't do a lot of trim on pork ribs unless they're just abnormally fatty or misshapen. You can see here there's a little bit of fat on the edges here that we'll want to cut off. That'll just burn this piece here. Cut off this edge piece here to square it off. Same on this one. Apart from the trim, we will kind of score the back of these in a checkerboard pattern. I don't know how much of a difference this really makes as far as final tenderness or anything like that, but I've noticed a little, and it does help with presentation. I use a little yellow mustard as a binding agent. And then we'll hit these with our seasonings. Don't forget to coat the sides and the back. You can see that delicious glaze there as the brown sugar kind of already dissolves on top of there, and then a nice barky coat to this one. All right, well, ribs are in, and now comes the hard part, the weight. I mean, it's easy for you, a jump cut away from here, and you'll be back to look at them. I just have to stand here, alone, doing nothing, waiting. Okay, about an hour in, let's take a look at these. Ooh, man, gorgeous. So you see the nice red color we've got here, and then we've maintained this barky color on this one. They've still got some flop to them. Probably another hour, hour and a half to go, I suppose.
We've been holding 244 to 246, somewhere in that range, pretty steadily the whole time. Like I said, spikes here and there when you open the doors, but apart from that, it's been rock solid. Also like to point out that if you really wanted to at this point on these ribs, you could wrap them and throw them in the oven and finish them up that way. They've taken quite a bit of smoke. If you wanted to finish them in the oven, I don't think anybody would say anything about it. No, actually, never mind. That's a lie.
Okay.
Well, I have to say these look beautiful. First of all.
Yes, they did turn, presentation-wise, they did turn out very, very well. All right, you want to start with the sweet and I'll start with the savory?
Okay. Rib cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Mmm.
Mmm.
I'm shooting rib debris all over the ground.
The ground will be thankful.
It should be.
Mmm.
Man.
The texture is money all day long.
I love the bark on these. All right, changing sides. Sweet, savory.
Cheers.
Cheers. Dang.
Right? Okay, I'm getting a lot of black pepper. That's not to my taste, but I can see how it would be amazing.
I gotta say, the sweet ribs are...
But the texture on this one is equally as good. It's got nice chew.
Yep, I think there's a little bit more fat on that one too. Notice on this one too, it's coming right off the bone. Just perfect bite.
Like, and you have a fun little, like it's shrunk up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have a nice little nib to hold on to.
Yeah, you do. You do.
It was my favorite. This one's good. That one's money. Man, now I need a beer.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Okay, so I would say they're both a success. You don't like the peppery texture and flavor.
That's a totally personal thing.
Yeah, I like the crunch of those, but I will agree the sweet ribs are better. And as I said previously, there should be no reason why sweet ribs have been relegated to the dustbin of history. They are fantastic. Sweetness and pork go together.
Hands down, all day long.
All the time. So this was, beyond just a good rib cook, a review of this smoker. And so I guess I should ask you, did you notice heavy smoke, light smoke? What did you think?
Light smoke, which is my personal preference.
Okay.
The type of wood, I think, adds to that. Like, you're not using a super smoky, like you're not smoking with hickory or mesquite, which would be a smoky smoke.
No, I started with hickory and mesquite for the first 30 minutes, just for a little bit of flavor, and then I did post oak the rest of the way.
Post oak is perfect for, I think, pork in particular.
Yeah.
Because it just lends a little bit of flavor and a lot of, I think the smoking helps the texture. Like, yes, it's hot in there. They're basically baking.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so gentle.
Yes. And that is another important thing about this smoker. You don't need a water pan, you don't need anything like that, because it traps moisture in so well. We've never had anything.
I mean, it's super sealed.
We've never had anything out of the smoker that was dry.
No.
I mean,
so juicy.
Unless you just really screwed up and let it go too long, this thing will not disappoint. So,
yeah, it was a good investment. I'm glad we did this one, because not only can you literally seal, you can see the locking mechanism on the door. You can seal the door. You can also seal the stack over here.
Yeah, the firebox. Yeah, everything's tight.
So you're not losing anything. You're not
Exactly.
losing any smoke. It's all going into your food, and that's amazing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, there you have it. That is the Old Country Gravity Smoker. That review in the books. Overall, very impressed with it. And if you want the set it and forget it of a pellet smoker, but you don't want the hassle of an offset, it's an awesome choice. I will say, as far as cons go, that I don't think it gives as good a bark on brisket or beef in general, but for pork products, pork butts, ribs, it's fantastic. Thanks for stopping in. If you enjoyed what you saw, please give us a like and subscribe. If you didn't, thanks for sticking it out to the end. Until next time, I'm Cody.
I'm Amanda.
And this has been Cold War Barbecue.